Welcome to part 3 of installing a network and infrastructure for a small business or school. In this video, we'll go over installing a Aruba 7010 controller. We'll start with the initial setup, which is done with a RS-232 adapter. We'll import some licenses, then we'll set up the IP and VLAN setup. We'll move on to the wireless LAN or the SSID setup, and then the access point configuration. After that, we'll test to make sure that it all works. Most of the Aruba controllers need to be set up through the serial port. And as you can see, I have a RJ45 to USB connector connected to our Aruba 7010 controller. I have launched that with the screen utility with my Mac, and we'll get started. So we'll start with the full setup. And we'll just prompt along here. Most of these things we can just use the defaults that they give us. It's going to be a master, and we'll go ahead and select the 172.16.0.254 IP address with 255.255.255.0. Default gateway, we'll leave it none, and we'll just say no for IPv6. US is the default. And we'll type in yes, and that's fine, and that's fine, and that's fine. We'll type in admin1. We'll just use enable as the enable password. And we'll accept those changes, and it will reboot. All right, well, we've logged back into our controller, and now what we'll do is look at what we have on our internal hard drive here. I saved off the licenses, so we will do a license import. And I will select the licenses that I exported. And we have new licenses. So we'll reboot this, and then we'll use the web GUI from here. Okay, so we've logged back in to our Aruba controller. The first thing that we want to do is go to the configuration page, and we'll want to turn off control plane security, well, at least for now. This allows our access points to connect to the Aruba controller. Next up, we'll want to just use the wizard for the controller. And we'll just use time for now. It doesn't really matter. And we'll skip that. And what we'll want to do is add our VLANs to the system. So our first VLAN is teachers. select new. VLAN 10. The IP address is 10.0.10.0. Oops. Oops. Actually, we have to set the instance for the Aruba controller here at 254. 255.255.255.0. And everything else is fine. Then we will double check. That looks good. New. Now we want students. Say all right. Add. New. Okay. 20. 10.0.21.254. 255.255.254.0 because we have a .0 because we have a larger subnet mask. Say OK. And then we'll add the guest. .30. 10.0.30.254. 255.255.255.0. And then we're good. So we can look at all of the new VLANs that we just added to the Aruba controller. All right, let's just continue with our wizard. These are all fine. Fine. And what we want to do is, at least for the number 15, which is the last of the Ethernet connections, we want to change that to trunk mode. We want to select them all. Say OK. Typically, I'm not going to run STP. And we say next. And because it needs to be rebooted, we'll say go ahead and reboot. Well, we're getting right down there. So the next thing that we need to do is provision our access points. I have hooked up an AP 205, as you can see here, to port 1 on the Aruba 7010 controller. But first we need to go and we'll just continue with our configuration and we'll hook up some wireless access points. We'll make an AP group and we'll call it Master Controller 1. And then we'll add our teacher network to this. This is actually the SSID that will be broadcast. I'm going to continue on. I'll just add on the student. And I'll also add the guest. Our first one will be teacher, and we'll just do next. It's a tunnel. It's VLAN 10. It's an internal. We won't use that, and we'll just call it teacher. Of course, you can change it to something else. And we'll continue. Oops. We'll make this teacher with the date. Its role will be authenticated. And we will click here to configure another WAN. Student. Next. Next. This is VLAN 20. Internal. STUDENT 2021. STUDENT 2021 for passwords. Next, again authenticated. We'll do one more WAN, and we'll do guest. And that's 30. And again, remember, you don't have to have a lot of security at this point, because our infrastructure itself takes care of all the traffic so that it is on a VLAN that is protected. And we'll call that guest 2021. Next. Again, it's authenticated. And finish. Our last step will be configuring our AP205 onto our network. And we will click on AP installation. We'll select our AP that we want to configure. We'll change it to our Master Controller 1 group. We'll scroll down here and we'll change its name to whatever, we'll call it Office. It doesn't matter what that name is. And then we will click Apply and Reboot, and that will take a little bit of time. Okay, let's just call it 10 minutes later. Our access point has rebooted, updated its configuration, and it's now listed in our AP installation list. We should be able now to connect to that, and what we'll do is we'll turn on our Wi-Fi. And we'll look and we'll see if we've got, yep, we've got teacher and student, and we have guest. So let's hook up to the teacher network and type in our password, which was teacher 2021. And join that network. And it looks like we have connected to it. We'll check to make sure that our IP address is correct. And we click on here, and yes, indeed, 10.0.10.148. So we have connected. One thing too, just to be aware of, is when your access points are connected correctly, you'll have 4 green lights on the access point. But other than that, we're good to go. Anyway, thanks for watching, and if you have questions, leave me a comment. Thanks.